It's official. The Cleveland Browns just witnessed the most explosive player revolt in NFL history, and what started as a simple quarterback controversy has detonated into a full-blown organizational nuclear meltdown that's got ownership in panic mode, coaches questioning their job security, and an entire franchise teetering on the edge of complete collapse. We're not talking about typical rookie demands anymore. We're talking about ultimatums, leaked conversations, and a power play so devastating that it could reshape how professional football operates forever. The streets are buzzing, NFL executives are in shock, and the people who thought they understood player management dynamics, yeah, they're probably scrambling to rewrite every rule they thought they knew about rookie leverage. So here's what just went down. Shedeur Sanders, the 5th-round pick who wasn't supposed to have any power, just delivered a trade demand so explosive that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam was reportedly left speechless during an emergency meeting. But this wasn't just any trade request. According to multiple sources within the organization, Sanders specifically demanded a trade to the Indianapolis Colts, citing Anthony Richardson's departure as the perfect opportunity, and threatened to expose internal dysfunction if his demands weren't met. But this isn't just about one player wanting out. This is about a complete transformation of rookie power dynamics that's sending shockwaves through every NFL front office. And what we're uncovering about Sanders' leverage is even more explosive than his public statements. Let's rewind a bit. When the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, everyone assumed this would be a typical developmental situation. The rookie learns the system, earns his opportunities, and gradually works his way up the depth chart. Standard NFL protocol that's worked for decades across the league. What nobody saw coming was how quickly Sanders would accumulate leverage that most veteran superstars never achieve. According to multiple sources within the Browns organization, Sanders isn't just demanding a trade. He's essentially holding the entire franchise hostage with information and influence that could destroy careers if made public. The Indianapolis connection isn't coincidental. Sources familiar with Sanders' camp describe detailed conversations with Colts personnel, including owner Jim Irsay, who allegedly expressed interest in acquiring Sanders even before Anthony Richardson's departure became official. The timing suggests this trade demand was coordinated rather than spontaneous, but here's where it gets even more explosive. The leverage Sanders is using goes far beyond typical player complaints. According to people familiar with the situation, Sanders has documented evidence of coaching incompetence, front office dysfunction, and organizational decisions that could embarrass the Browns publicly if revealed during a contentious trade dispute. One insider described Sanders' position as nuclear-level leverage, claiming he possesses recordings, text messages, and insider knowledge that could damage multiple careers within the organization. This isn't just a player wanting more opportunities. This is someone who could expose systemic problems that ownership desperately wants to keep private. And if this insider information is blowing your mind like it's blowing mine, make sure you hype this video right now. Give points to your favorite videos because we're about to reveal the leaked audio recordings that have Jimmy Haslam absolutely terrified. Every point you give helps us bring you more explosive NFL content that the mainstream media is too scared to cover. Multiple sources within the Browns front office describe emergency meetings focused entirely on containing the Sanders situation before it explodes into a public relations nightmare. Legal teams are reportedly reviewing confidentiality agreements and non-disclosure clauses to determine what Sanders can legally reveal if the relationship deteriorates further. The psychological warfare being employed by Sanders' camp is unprecedented for a rookie. Sources describe a calculated campaign designed to maximize pressure on the Browns while building public support for his position. Every leak, every statement, every social media post is strategically timed to increase leverage and force organizational capitulation. Then came the nuclear moment that really exposed how desperate the situation has become. The Jimmy Haslam meeting. When NFL owners personally meet with 5th-round rookies to discuss trade demands, it means the situation has escalated beyond normal player management protocols into crisis territory. Sources familiar with the meeting describe Haslam as visibly shaken by Sanders' presentation, which allegedly included specific examples of coaching failures, questionable personnel decisions, and organizational dysfunction that Sanders witnessed firsthand. The fact that a rookie could rattle an experienced owner suggests the information he possesses is genuinely damaging. The leaked details from this meeting are absolutely explosive. According to insiders, Sanders presented a detailed dossier of organizational failures, including specific instances where coaching decisions cost the team games, front office moves that were made for personal rather than football reasons, and internal conflicts that have been hidden from public view. But that's not even the most shocking part. According to people within Sanders' camp, the trade demand includes specific conditions that would essentially force the Browns to admit organizational failures publicly. Sanders allegedly wants the Browns to acknowledge coaching mistakes, apologize for wasted opportunities, and provide positive references to facilitate his move to Indianapolis. These demands go far beyond typical trade negotiations into territory that could set precedents for how rookies interact with organizations. If Sanders successfully forces the Browns to meet his conditions, it could empower other young players to make similar demands backed by insider knowledge and public pressure. The Anthony Richardson connection adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Sources within the Colts organization describe Richardson's departure as creating the perfect opportunity for Sanders to land in an ideal situation with a team desperate for quarterback stability and willing to accommodate his unique requirements. Indianapolis reportedly views Sanders as a potential franchise-changing acquisition who could provide immediate stability and long-term success. The combination of his talent, marketability, and proven ability to generate excitement makes him an attractive target for a franchise looking to rebuild its identity. Jim Irsay's involvement in the situation has been more direct than initially reported. Sources claim the Colts owner has been in communication with Sanders' representatives for weeks, discussing not just football opportunities, but also the business and marketing possibilities that would come with acquiring such a high-profile player. And here's what's truly wild about this situation. The veteran player response within Cleveland has been overwhelmingly supportive of Sanders' position. Instead of criticizing a rookie for making demands, sources describe established players who are fed up with organizational dysfunction and view Sanders as someone finally willing to speak truth to power. Multiple Browns veterans have reportedly expressed private support for Sanders' trade demand, with some suggesting they wish they had similar leverage to force changes within the organization. The fact that a fifth-round rookie has become a symbol of player empowerment suggests deeper problems within the franchise. The locker room dynamics have been completely transformed by Sanders' bold move. Sources describe teammates who are inspired and terrified by his willingness to challenge authority, with some players reconsidering their own relationships with coaching staff and management. Myles Garrett, the team's defensive superstar, has reportedly remained neutral publicly but privately expressed frustration with organizational dysfunction that Sanders' situation has highlighted. Other veteran players are questioning whether they should demand similar accountability from management. But here's where the story takes an even more dramatic turn. The coaching staff response has revealed deep divisions within the organization about how to handle Sanders' demands. Some coaches reportedly support accommodating his requests, while others view his behavior as insubordination that should be punished regardless of consequences. Kevin Stefanski's position has become particularly precarious, with sources suggesting that Sanders' trade demand includes specific criticisms of the head coach's decision-making and player development approach. If Sanders goes public with detailed examples of coaching failures, it could cost Stefanski his job. Multiple sources within the coaching staff describe a siege mentality where everyone is questioning their job security and wondering what information Sanders might reveal if the situation escalates. The psychological warfare aspect of his leverage has created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty throughout the organization. The assistant coaches are reportedly divided between loyalty to Stefanski and recognition that Sanders' criticisms might be valid. Some position coaches have allegedly expressed private agreement with Sanders' assessment of the team's developmental failures and strategic mistakes. The financial implications are staggering. Sanders' marketability and social media influence generate revenue streams that extend far beyond his rookie contract value. Losing him could cost the Browns millions in merchandise sales, ticket revenue, and corporate partnerships that were built around his presence. Multiple sources within the Browns' business operations describe Sanders as irreplaceable from a marketing perspective, with his departure potentially affecting season ticket renewals, sponsorship deals, and national television appeal. The economic impact of his trade demand extends far beyond football considerations. Corporate sponsors who invested in Brown's partnership specifically because of Sanders' presence are reportedly reconsidering their commitments. The combination of his individual marketability and the negative publicity surrounding his trade demand creates a perfect storm of financial consequences for the organization. But the most fascinating aspect of this entire situation is how Sanders has weaponized modern media and social influence to create leverage that previous generations of players never possessed. His ability to generate public pressure, influence narratives, and mobilize fan support gives him power that transcends traditional player management relationships. The technological infrastructure supporting Sanders' position includes social media campaigns, fan engagement strategies, and media relationships that can amplify his message instantly across multiple platforms. This digital leverage makes him far more dangerous to organizational reputation than typical disgruntled players. Sources within sports media describe Sanders' situation as a masterclass in modern player empowerment, with his team using every available tool to maximize pressure on the Browns while building public support for his position. The sophistication of his approach suggests professional guidance and strategic planning. The Indianapolis Colts response has been carefully measured but clearly interested. Sources within the organization describe preliminary discussions about potential trade scenarios, with team officials reportedly impressed by Sanders' talent and intrigued by the opportunity to acquire a player with his upside and marketability. Jim Irsay's history of bold moves and willingness to take risks makes Indianapolis an ideal destination for Sanders' unique situation. The Colts' need for quarterback stability combined with their owner's personality creates perfect conditions for a mutually beneficial arrangement. The trade compensation discussions are reportedly complex, with the Browns demanding significant value for a player they view as having franchise potential, while the Colts argue that Sanders' public trade demand has diminished his market value. The negotiation dynamics are unlike anything seen in recent NFL history. But the most disturbing aspect of this entire situation is how it's exposed the Browns' organizational dysfunction to a level that even insiders find shocking. Sanders' willingness to challenge the system has revealed problems that go far deeper than typical team struggles. Multiple sources describe the Browns as fundamentally broken at multiple levels, with Sanders' trade demand serving as a catalyst for exposing issues that have been festering for years. His insider knowledge has become a weapon that could destroy careers and reshape the entire organization. The precedent implications are equally staggering. If Sanders successfully forces his trade while exposing organizational problems, it could empower other players to use similar tactics against teams they view as dysfunctional. The traditional power balance between players and management could be permanently altered. Looking ahead, the sustainability questions will determine whether Sanders gets his trade or if the Browns can contain the situation before it destroys multiple careers. Will Indianapolis meet his demands? Can Cleveland survive the public exposure of their dysfunction? How will the NFL respond to this new model of player empowerment? These unknowns create suspense around the ongoing narrative, but one thing is absolutely certain. The relationship between players and organizations has been permanently altered. Shedeur Sanders just proved that talent combined with leverage and insider knowledge can force even established franchises to capitulate to rookie demands. The Sanders trade demand represents more than one player wanting out. It represents a fundamental shift in professional sports power dynamics, where information, influence, and strategic thinking can overcome traditional hierarchies. The message is clear. Organizations that fail their players will face consequences that extend far beyond losing talent. The reverberations will continue expanding throughout the NFL and beyond, as every player, every coach, and every front office grapples with the implications of what's happening in Cleveland. The age of player empowerment has reached a new level, and there's no going back to the days when rookies quietly accepted whatever treatment they received.